Get ready for this week's Top 30. I'm Miranda Lambert, and these are Play That Song and a lot more as I count down the hits with Lon Helton on Country Air Check. Right now, here's Lon with the week's hottest song.
Well, thanks, Miranda. And our radio stations give the honor to Kenny Chesney, Knowing You. Kenny Chesney and the week's hottest song, Knowing You. But is Kenny going to waltz his way all the way to number one? We're going to find out a little bit later on Country Countdown USA. Each week, I'm joined by a top country star who gives me a hand counting down the hits along this week in person, although we're still separated by a very long table. Miranda Lambert is here. How are you?
Hello, I'm good.
Busy year. It's been a while since we've seen you, I think.
Yes.
Last time we talked, you were traveling America, but by car.
In my Airstream.
Like between New York City and Texas and other parts?
Yeah, I went on adventures with my Airstream. I got to travel for fun and not just work for once.
And what else? I want to talk later, too, about the 5 nights you did down at Billy Bob's in Texas in April and May, and what that was like, just being on stage really with a real lot of people for the first time in a year or so.
Yeah, it was like, I think we had not been on stage in 412 days. We went.
Not that you're counting.
Exactly. I went down there, and I thought it was such a cool way to come back, and it was. I had a blast.
I'll bet. Well, we'll talk some more about that. Actually, though, you have 2 songs in the top 30. Of course, your current If I Was a Cowboy, as well as your duet with Elle King. Lots to do with Miranda Lambert as we get along. Right now, we'll get things started at number 30, Luke Bryan, Up. That's the latest from Luke Bryan, leading off the week's top 30, Up. My countdown co-host this week is Miranda Lambert. Of course, your current single is If I Was a Cowboy. I want to go back there and talk a little bit about the last number one, Bluebird.
Well, Bluebird was actually one that was kind of showing itself to be something people cared about even early on when the record just, had just come out. So that was also an indication like maybe we have something here.
Yeah.
I also think that Bluebird and its message is kind of perfectly timed for what's happening. I
was going to ask you about that. It really has kind of even changed a little bit since this all came down in March, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The feeling of it and the meaning.
It really has, and I think it's something people, including myself, needed to hear, and a reminder of kind of a hope, because I think everybody needs to be reassured in some way, and this song does that.
I had seen somewhere that the song Bluebird was not after a poem, but there was a poem called Bluebird, but it was very different. I actually went and read it, and it's much more dark.
Oh, yeah, it was, but Luke, that poem really hit Luke, and he texted Natalie and I, and he was like, I read this poem, and I think it's amazing, and we should write something to the sentiment of what it says. And so we did, but we added a little hope to it. You know what I mean? But he had sent us that quote, I turned the light on in my soul, keep Bluebird in my heart. And I thought it was really beautiful. And I mean, I think it's also cool that we take something that is a little bit dark, because Bluebird does have a dark side, but it's also a hopeful song.
Yeah.
It's something different. I've never written or recorded anything like Bluebird.
Absecon Veterinary Hospital on New Road in Absecon is always looking out for your family's health and the health of your pets. Here's a pet health tip from the staff at Absecon Vet.
Hi, this is Dr. Rachel Scotland, and I would like to talk to you about feline urethral obstruction, also known as blocked cats. This condition occurs in male cats when they are unable to urinate due to a buildup of crystals, mucus, and spasms. When cats can't urinate, they lose the ability to get rid of the toxins in their body, which quickly makes them very sick and can be fatal. If you notice your male cat in and out of the litter box, crying or vomiting, it is time to get him to your veterinarian immediately. There are treatments available for this condition, but time is of the essence.
Absecon Vet is open every day from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. To schedule a wellness checkup for your pet, call 609-646-7013 or check out all that Absecon Veterinary Hospital has to offer your pet at abseconvet.com. That's abseconvet.com.
Cody Johnson making his countdown debut at number 28, Till You Can't. My co-host this week is Miranda Lambert, and of course a number of new artists have had their very first hits in 2021. One of them, Lainey Wilson, and you wanted to talk about her.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just think Lainey, I love what she's doing. I didn't know her before, but I started hearing her music this year, last year, and I was just like, this girl's really good. So I got got her number and just reached out and was like, hey, I think you're awesome. I love what you're doing. And, it's one of those, like, not, you were talking about earlier, it's nice when other artists compliment your actual songwriting and words. And when I heard, I can put a trailer on a 2-inch hitch, I can shoot a shotgun, I can catch a fish. I'm like, wait, who's this? What? So can I. Who is this girl? Like, this is awesome. Like, I had that same feeling when I've known about Ashley McBride for a long time, but I had that same feeling when I heard her. Same, like, oh my gosh, like, she's my girl. Like, she's singing about stuff that I understand. And Lainey's I think she's great and unique, and I'm wishing her all the best.
And talking about Lainey Wilson, too, her song, Things a Man Ought to Know, a man sitting in that chair said, man, this song should be about an hour and a half long.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I've been asking most men in that chair what they think a man ought to know. So what do you think a man ought to know?
I think that we can't expect them to know women because that's asking a lot.
Oh, that's the ultimate ask. Co-host Miranda Lambert up 1 at number 26, If I Was a Cowboy. And of course, Miranda, this has just been out a few weeks. So let's talk a little bit about writing this song.
I wrote this song with my new friend, Jesse Frazier. We met doing the remix of Tequila Does, and he and I just got together one afternoon for a write, and this is what came out of it. It's funny, he's a Detroit boy and I'm an East Texan, but somehow we wrote a song about the Wild West together, so it's pretty cool.
That really is. And of course, this song isn't from your last album, Wildcard, which means, I guess, you're working on new music.
Yes, I am. I'm working on new stuff, and getting there. We're almost there. It was really a great blessing to be off and be able to write all this stuff and work on these projects, even though there was scary things about being a musician and not having any shows for so long, but it did open space for me to be a songwriter, and I really loved it.
Hang on, because I want to come back and talk some more about your new music. We'll do that in a little bit with Miranda Lambert. Right now, we're at 25 in the countdown. Jake Owen, Best Thing Since Back Road. Jake Owen up 1 at number 25, Best Thing Since Back Roads. We're counting down hits this week with Miranda Lambert, and up next is a guy you wanted to talk about, Keith Urban.
Keith was my first tour I ever did straight out of the bars in Texas, and I remember every single night of that tour, like, standing on the side of the stage with my band going, okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. That's what we're supposed to be doing up here. We got to, like, step it up and learn so much. But just, he's always been kind and such a creative artist and reinvents himself and is always willing to, like, try new things with new people. And he's got that musician brain, though, so he'll push you, and I love that.
Yeah, that really is the truth. He does always push the envelope, and we're talking about Keith Urban, who's next at 24 on the countdown with Wild. Bentley, Breland, and Hardy up a couple of number 23, Beers on Me. We're counting down the hits with Miranda Lambert, and I know you want to talk about Dirks.
Dirks is such a good friend. I mean, he and I have toured together 3 times, I guess, or maybe 4 now, and he was the second tour I ever went on, and I learned a lot from Dirks, who also, in turn, learned a lot from Kenny. He had just come from the Kenny tour when he took me out, and we became really good friends, and we still are. I love him and what he stands for, and he's the kind of friend that I call him, I'm like, hey, I've got this Walk of Fame thing. I need a pal to introduce me. I know you have better things to do with your afternoon than come spend it with me in the sun, but he was like, of course I'll be there, and he wrote the sweetest things, and I don't know, I really enjoy, like, having that longevity and that friendship with him, and even if we don't see each other for a while or don't tour or whatever, it just seems like we always find our way back to hang out. We actually got to go and with some friends and see Elle King not that long ago here in Nashville, so it was cool to just get to hang out outside of, like, of course we're still hanging out around music. That's what we do. We can't get away from it, but to just get away and, like, go see somebody else's show for a while, and it was fun.
Well, that really is cool. And I tell you what, we are going to talk about Elle King when your duet with her comes up in just a little bit. Right now, though, back to the countdown along with Miranda Lambert at 22. This is Hardy, Give Hell. Blake Shelton up 1 to number 20, Come Back as a Country Boy. We're counting them down this week with Miranda Lambert. Your duet with Elle King is just ahead, but I want to talk about a different duet that you had a big hit with, and that, of course, Drowns the Whiskey with Jason Aldean.
Jason and I started at the same time. Like, we did one of our first tours together, Graham Central Station tour. It was not pretty or glamorous, but we were there together, and now we're still here. And so I always want to sing with him. He's great singer, great songs. He's, done amazing things in his career. And anyway, he sent me John's whiskey, and I was like, that's more like it. Let's do it.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about being friends. You can be honest, say, yeah, I'm not, doesn't maybe fit me, but this drowns the whiskey. The twist in that song, because you normally think it's just the opposite.
Exactly. I think the song's great. It's country. It had steel guitar on it. I was all about it. And I got a #1 out of it, and it's been my first time at the top of the chart for a really long time, so thank you.
My co-host Miranda Lambert at number 18, Drunk and I Don't Want to Go Home. So, Miranda, tell me about singing with Elle King.
Yes, Elle is one of my favorites. I mean, I think she's such a spitfire and so fun, and she is one of those people, like, I haven't known her very long, but I feel like I've known her forever. It's with those people you meet that you're just kindred spirits. And she asked me to sing that song with her, and I instantly said yes. What's not to love?
She's obviously enjoying her forays, plural, into country, into our little world when she did something with Dierks Bentley and now you. So what's her sense of this place?
I think she likes it. I think she was in Nashville before and didn't have a greatest experience. I think she's given it a second try, and Elle's one of those, like, she doesn't really have a genre or need one. She can kind of do it all and do it well. And so I'm happy that she's popping her head over to see us here and there.
And she does have a hit here at 18 with Drunk and I Don't Want to Go Home, along with my co-host Miranda Lambert. Sam Hunt up a couple to number 17, the song called 23. We're counting down the hits this week with Miranda Lambert, and up next is the latest from Eric Church. And when he was in here as my co-host, he talked about your song, Settling Down.
She co-writes this. Luke Dick is who I co-write with a lot. And there's a line in this song, I'd love a picket fence if it wrapped around the world. And I think that line stopped me. That's its own song. And the whole song's great. I mean, I think it's one of Miranda's best songs that she's ever had, and she's had a career full of them. I just thought it's spectacular record making and songwriting. Sometimes you get one or the other. You get a great song and you hear the record and go, but this one is both. She's got that little breakdown part, right before the chorus. It's just such a cool little B part that you hear it the first time and you're like, wow, is that the chorus? And then the chorus happens. It's just great record making. It's great songwriting.
Well, and we know that Eric has high standards. That's very sweet of him. I always say I try to not release records the year that he does. Because I feel like we kind of live in the same lane a lot of times. And so I don't ever want to go up against him on Album of the Year.
Right. And you've both had great success in that particular category. I always love it when you hear one artist pay that much attention to another artist's songs, to really break them down. It's, they're not just saying, oh yeah, I like them, they're a great writer, great singer, and you know what I mean? But to break it down like that much tells you that, as a songwriter, he is listening to what you're doing.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I do the same to his songs. I just didn't say it on your show. But, I think that the bravery he has, and like Homeboy is one of my... that song, the way he writes that and the imagery in it, it just really hits me so hard. But that's just what I'm a huge fan of Eric's music and writing, and so I appreciate that we have mutual respect. But we're also competitive, so we have that too.
Russell Dickerson along with Lady A up 1 to number 15, Home Sweet. Miranda Lambert's my co-host this week, and up next is Parker McCollum, who has opened some shows for you. And, of course, he has recorded a song that the two of you wrote together.
We did. John Randall actually is his producer, so when we're from Texas, we keep it all in the family.
I love it.
We actually wrote a song with John Randall, Parker and I, and Randy Rogers, so we were all the Texans sort of gravitate toward each other. But Parker's so sweet, and I think he's got such a long road ahead of him, and bright things are going to happen to him.
What do you like about him, and what does he bring to the table as a writer?
I think that he's different. I think that he's got a really unique voice, and I think he kind of he's a little stubborn in what he says, what he wants to say, and I recognize that. I don't know if you know why. And I love that. Like, I think he just kind of, says, this is what I'm going to say in this song, and like it or lump it. And I think he was really wise in choosing John Randall to sort of guide his sound, because he's amazing at it. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Kelsey Ballerini and Kenny Chesney up 1 to number 12, Half of My Hometown. We're counting down the hits this week with Miranda Lambert, and we ought to mention here that the Grammy nominations came out a few weeks ago, and you got two of them. One, of course, for the duet with Elle King that we just heard a minute ago, and the second is for Best Country Album for a project that you did with Jack Ingram and John Randall called The Marfa Tapes. Story behind making that album.
You know, I feel like to keep it interesting and to keep reinventing and to keep yourself interested, 2 decades worth of a business, you got to find new ways to light your fire, and the Pistol Annies was something really special to me, is something special to me. And, when I first was talking about doing that, people were a little skeptical. Wait, you're starting a girl band? What do you mean? But it was just fun. Yeah.
Right.
But it was fun, and it is fun, and it's great music, and it's great songwriting, and it's sort of it's that part of my songwriter skill set working, to write with two of my greatest friends, and the content of the music is woman scorned, and when you put three of us together, watch out.
That's a lot of scorn.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fury.
It is.
As in hell hath no, right?
It is. But same with the Marfa tapes, just a different vibe, I've been going to Marfa for almost 7 years with Jack Ingram and John Randall, and we thought, what's going to happen to these songs if we should just put them out in their raw state, because that place is magic, and we want people to hear it on tape.
Oh, I'm so glad you did, because, the music is magic. You said it, and you can really hear it. And we're talking about the Marfa tapes, featuring my co-host Miranda Lambert. Kane Brown up 1 to number 10, One Mississippi. We're counting down the hits here with Miranda Lambert, and I want to go back a little bit from earlier this year. Tell me about writing Settling Down.
We wrote this song, Luke, Dick, and Natalie Hemby, and I wrote Bluebird and Settling Down. But I think that we wrote it the day that I walked into write with them, and I had told them I got married. And so we kind of wrote it about that sentiment of and then it's funny because Bluebird was at a time when we really needed a message of what that says last year. And now this is where everybody's going back to tour, and everyone's going back to life, and everyone's going back on vacations and trips. And But I've heard people also say some days I miss the pandemic already, because you got used to being in that nest. And so I feel like that's the question in all of us of what are my boundaries, and what am I willing to give up, and what am I willing to chase?
Jimmy Allen and Brad Paisley at number 9, Freedom Was a Highway. We're counting them down here with Miranda Lambert this week, and we've been talking about a lot of your friends here in the top 30. One we haven't quite gotten to yet is Maren Morris.
I've loved her since she first came out. I've known her and her family for a while. She started in Texas too, so we kind of knew of each other for a long time. But her first album was coming out. I got a sneak peek, and I was like, this is gonna kill it. It's just really great singing, and there's a sassy side to it, but it's also amazing songwriting. So she seems to be killing it, and I love that. I think that she's a great artist, and I always knew she was going to be the next big thing.
Yeah, and of course you've been proven to be exactly right. We're talking about Maren Morris, who had a number 1 a few weeks ago with her husband Ryan Hurd, Chasing After You. Chris Stapleton up 1 to number 8, You Should Probably Leave. We're counting down the hits with Miranda Lambert. We now come to John Party, and his latest album has a song on it written by you and Eric Church.
Yeah.
When I first heard it, I didn't know you guys had written it. I thought it was perfect for John Party, but then I thought, wow, it could have been perfect for you, could have been perfect for Eric, but you didn't cut it because...
It's a great song. I don't know why we didn't cut it, either one of us, really. It's kind of just one of those songs that sat around for a long, long time, but I feel like it found its home. It's definitely perfect for John Party, and I got a text that I got a cut, and I was like, what? I don't get cuts. No one cuts my songs but me. I wish they would. But yeah, I'm very appreciative that this song is going to see the light of day.
How old is this song?
We wrote it when we were on tour together, and I don't even know how long ago that was. Almost 10 years, probably.
Yeah.
It was when Eric was opening for us, and so it's got to be a decade old, because he's sort of selling out stadiums and stuff. But yeah, it's a great country song, and it kind of gives me hope that I need to keep up with my catalog a little better, because sometimes you forget what you've got hidden around,
Oh, that sounds like an amazing problem to have. Anyway, we kind of... Michael Ray again at number 5, Whiskey and Rain. We're counting them down with Miranda Lambert, and up next is Luke Combs. And when Luke was in here as my co-host, of course, we talked about you.
I loved that songwriter thing she put out recently. Was really great, and me and my wife have gotten a chance to hang out with her and her husband, and she's been real great to us. And I just think she's fantastic. You know, she's been doing great stuff for a long time, and just an inspiration as a songwriter and as an artist of somebody that's done it their own way. And you were asking me earlier in the show, you know, what's some advice I would give, and you know, from a musical standpoint, man, it's, you know, if you can be, you know, more like Miranda Lambert, you're going to be doing good, you know.
That's sweet. I think Luke's great. I'm so happy to see him. Just everything he touches turns to gold right now, and we've actually had a chance to write a song together recently. And
really,
yeah, he's just a great guy, and I feel like the next generation is like kicking ass and taking names, and I love to see it. I do. It's like really cool to watch.
So what'd you guys write?
We wrote a great song. More to come, Lon.
What's it about?
Can't tell you yet.
Is it a part of your new project?
Can't tell you.
Will you sing it together as a duet?
I can't tell you.
Well, that's why we're here.
I'll tell you when I can. How about that?
And when is that going to be?
You'll know.
What a great interview. How's Miranda Lambert's interview? Yeah, he doesn't say anything. No, I get it. I know but I got to ask, right? You got to.
You're supposed to. That's your job.
You know, because I can hardly wait to hear this.
Thank you.
Dustin Lynch and Mackenzie Porter up 1 to number 2, Thinking About You. We're counting down the hits this week with Miranda Lambert, and we now, of course, come to the number 1 song in the USA, and it belongs to a pretty good friend of yours, Kenny Chesney. Of course, you guys did a bunch of stadium shows a few years ago, and he was in here as our co-host not long ago, and he talked about kind of you coming back and joining him during his set.
You know, after we would do tequila, some nights, if I was feeling extra alive on stage, we would kick into Straight's The Fireman. And there were a couple of nights when I would just pull down my guitar and throw it on the stage and grab Miranda and start two-stepping around the stage.
I missed that.
I think I scared her.
I
think I scared her to death the first time I did it. The second and third time I did it, she was ready for it, and she was in the zone. But I think the first time I did it, she just couldn't believe it. You know, but we had fun. She's so authentically great.
To be fair, he wasn't actually two-stepping the first time. I had to lead him into that. He was sort of doing a mixture. And I was like, we're in Texas, we're two-stepping.
Kenny thought he was two-stepping, but he really wasn't.
He was. The first time it did take me. Like, I was like, what's going on? And then we sort of got our juju going. So every time we did it after that, I was like, we were pretty much right on. We looked like we just stepped off the stage at Billy Bob's.
Would you like to critique his dancing overall?
Yeah, he's gonna argue with me when he hears this, because he'd be like, I was doing it right. We were arguing on stage while we were doing it, who was doing it right. So
you should have just told him, just follow me.
Exactly. Let the girl.
Kenny Chesney, his 34th number 1, Knowing You. And there they are, the top 30 country hits in the USA is compiled by Country Air Check. We've been counting down from Miranda Lambert. Of course, just a few weeks, hard to believe, a few weeks left in 2021. And I imagine you're going to be taking some time off.
I'm going to go take some time. I'm just had a really big year, and I need to just like go be a person.
Little me time?
Yeah, like just go sit in a lawn chair somewhere and like think and not think.
And I think that is a great plan. Of course, the current hit is If I Was a Cowboy, and you've got the duet with Elle King. Best luck with that. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. And as always, I just so much appreciate your time and helping me count down the hits.
Well, thank you so much. We've known each other for a long time now. I really appreciate all the years of support.
It's Jess. So once again, we've teamed up with our friends at the U.S. Marine Corps Reserves to support Toys for Tots. So if you're looking to help out, you can drop off a new unwrapped toy today at Dennisville Fence on Bayshore Road in Villas.
I asked what kind of family she wanted. She said, a family like yours.
Learn more about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward. Brought to you by